On the QT with Chris Jackson.
This is the famous Pahuta geyser at Rotorua. I filmed it earlier this year when I was touring New Zealand. Little did I realise that a few miles away I'd stumble across a man from Newcastle who nearly 1.5 centuries ago would also be drawn to the area's geothermal wonders. Only he would never make it back home.
The QT, a new voice for the North East, Thursdays at noon.
Hi, I'm Chris Jackson and welcome to On the QT, our occasional podcast series bringing you bonus material for all the fascinating articles we publish each week. Now, this was all sparked when I discovered the story of Edwin Bainbridge, who like me had travelled from Tyneside all the way to New Zealand to take in the sights. Only in his case, and it was 138 years ago this month, June, he also witnessed the terrifying spectacle of the eruption of Mount Tarawera. Yes, it was a spectacle, but it also claimed his life. I knew this was a fascinating story, so I grabbed my phone when I was on holiday there and recorded everything I could because I knew I'd want to share the sights and sounds to go along with the story I was bound to write. Hopefully you've read the article. Now here we start in Tarawera. It's now known as the Buried Village, and it was where Edwin was staying on that fateful night. This has been quite a journey of discovery. I'm standing at the bottom of the waterfalls that flow from the village down into Lake Tarawera, which is where the eruption occurred. And if you wanted a vision of paradise, I guess this is it. But tourists, such as they were back in the days, were coming here for what we call the terraces. These were deposits from the hot springs that created these amazing terraces in pink and white that sort of cascaded down and were formed over decades, centuries. And that's what he was here for. What we didn't realise, of course, that he was going to witness one of the worst natural events that was going to destroy not only this valley but change the landscape forever. He witnessed it, but of course would not survive it. Edwin's story is central to the museum that tells visitors about that fateful night. It, along with an adjoining tea room, is run by Pam McGrath, whose grandparents relocated here during the Great Depression and didn't realise just what was hidden in the undergrowth.
There was a derelict little tea rooms here, so they set about doing that up and starting to produce Devonshire teas, which involved having a cow, which involved a farm. So as they gradually cleared the land, they started finding these little indentations, and they put one and one together and realised that they'd actually not only got a tea rooms but a historic village. Wow. So they began excavating in the late 30s. My dad and his brother went to war and one came back and he carried on.
It's astounding because you're actually carrying on a tradition really, because the village itself was a tourist attraction back in the day, before it was buried.
Yeah, exactly.
They unearthed the everyday tools and possessions of a small community of Europeans and Maoris who created a Victorian tourism hub, taking adventurous travellers to see what was called the eighth wonder of the world. Let me give you the lay of the land. Edwin was the sole guest in one of the village's 2 hotels. It was a full day's trek to see the infamous pink and white terraces. Maori guides would lead you across Lake Tarawera before continuing on foot to the shore of neighbouring Lake Rotomahana. Back then, it was only a tenth of its present size. Its new shape created when Mount Tarawera blew its top. Cruising on the lake today, you can only see the side crater, but with Google Earth we can fly above to see how lava and ash ripped open a massive rift along the summit. It was so violent it tore the local landscape apart. It wiped out the local wildlife, plants, vegetation, everything. So what you see today has all returned since then. The 16-kilometre rupture of the earth also created the Waimangu volcanic valley, which you can visit today like I did. It has a stunning array of hot spring pools and fumaroles, the vents that spew up boiling water and gases from the depths. It's eerie and mystical. Some pools are toxic. In other places you can see the silica deposits slowly starting to form shapes. It'll be many generations before anyone will see a new set of bathing pools like Edwin Bainbridge did, the last European ever to set eyes on those famous silica terraces. Back at the buried village, Pam tells me although this was the Southern Hemisphere's Vesuvius moment, foreign visitors have rarely heard about the Tarawera eruption, even those from Tyneside.
We had some recently, and they went into the little audio-visual room and heard the town, and they went, my gosh, they came rushing out to tell me that that's where they're from.
Written by Edwin Bainbridge of Newcastle on Tyne, England. This is the most awful moment of my life. I cannot be sure when I may be called upon to meet my God. I am thankful that I find his strength sufficient for me. We are under heavy falls from volcanic...
They have all sorts of ideas of what might be coming, you know, a house under the ground, buildings under the ground, or, you know, Pompeii or something. But when they get out there, they feel a real spiritual an aura, and you probably felt that too, just that it's so peaceful, and the history. And
well, I went down the waterfall. It is kind of paradise on earth, really, isn't it?
Oh, it is, yes. I hope you walked down.
We did.
Yeah, that's pretty spectacular, and that's just the icing on the cake.